Hi, this is Indy with Designer Accessory Adoption. Thanks for watching this video and welcome back to my channel. And
Hold on, stop it.
Were you done?
No, I did that so we could...
Hi, this is India with Designer Accessory Adoption. Thanks for watching this video and welcome back to my channel. If you are new, thank you so much for clicking play. And if you are returning, a special thank you to you for coming back for another video. And you probably are seeing that there's someone extra on the screen with me. And I will let this person introduce themselves.
What's up, y'all? I am her husband, Jernell Henry, known as J. Henry Live, aka The Journal, national recording artist. She's laughing because she's not used to hearing me say that about myself, especially right around her.
The Journal?
Anyway, yeah, The Journal.
Okay. So, and also the opening music that you hear in my videos is from his music. So, just a little plug there. So today will be... You're welcome, Lord.
Y'all gotta excuse us. We have this kind of relationship. We're very humorous, so you'll periodically see us laughing at each other or saying something or doing something that's gonna make the other person laugh, yo.
So today's video, I wanted to include him because we've actually talked about doing a YouTube channel, but that never happened. And together, and it was going to be related to our experience purchasing our first home together. And today's video will be over that, which is going to be 10 tips that we want to give
10
you.
Tips?
10 tips that that we felt would be helpful for either new home buyers or even people who have purchased their home before and you're on your second or third home. It's just things that we think would be helpful, tips that you have not thought of. Definitely some of these we thought about, but if you bought a home before, you just know, or are going through the experience yourself right now, you just know there's so many things to read, analyze, ask questions over. So some of these things kind of fall by the wayside and you don't actually get to them. So we want to bring them back to the forefront of your mind.
Also, don't feel bad if there are any steps that you happen to overlook or anything, because no matter how much you prepare or how much you research you do or how much you think, there's some things that you will not be prepared for or not find out until you actually get into that process or have gone through the process of buying your house. And once you get in there, you're learning things day by day. So there's some things you can't prepare for. However, as India stated, we can give you tips on our experiences and whatnot.
Yes. And definitely some of these will come from us being in our home and then not even knowing to think about these things until after we've experienced them, like you said. So we're just going to go back and forth between the two tips. So the first one on the list is going to be paying attention to where the sun rises and sets. And these are going to be in no particular order. So pretty much what I'm talking about there is really paying attention to kind of where the sun is going to be the highest in the day. The reason for that is because if you have a patio or if you have a bedroom that's on the side where the sun will set, those rooms will typically receive the most sun and be the warmest out of your house. Now, funny thing is, the room where I work out of as my office is at the front of the home. And so the sun is pretty much shining through there most of the day. So that's the room that is the warmest out of the rest of the house. And then the sun sets on the backside of the house, and that's where the patio is. So that's the reason why I wanted to mention that. So if you have a home where you just want to be aware of it, really, not that you have to decide that you don't want the house because of kind of where it's facing, but it is something to be mindful of in case maybe you have an elderly parent or a child or anything of that nature where you like to entertain later in the day. What are you doing?
I was licking my lips.
I just randomly heard noise. Sorry, y'all. So pretty
Told
much,
y'all.
you threw me off. So pretty much, that's the reason why I mentioned it, because it could, if you're sensitive to temperatures, or if it really matters, kind of what you're using that room for, you do want to pay attention to that.
Also, and this is more of a question to you. Could that have implications on your electric bill in the summer from running your air? Could where the sun rises and sets, as well as the positioning of your house, could that have an effect on how the air works, or the the way it affects anything?
Oh, should I be looking at you when you're talking to
Not
me?
necessarily.
I'm just looking at the camera. um, I don't know. I mean, I think maybe it does matter. I feel like we like our home cooler. When I am up during the day, I prefer the temperature to be a little bit warmer, because I don't have to have it as cold. And factoring that in, I know that you and I've had discussions, because we just are just kind of like are on two different schedules, where I'm ready to turn the temperature down while I'm moving around during the day. My office is warmer, so that works for me, but then you want the air pumping all day.
Yeah.
So I don't know, it could. I don't know.
Also, one thing too, especially if you like us, we like to grow, plant a garden and grow vegetables and stuff like that. So I'm sure also, and this is a little off topic, but still doing with this rising and setting of the sun, the positioning of your house could affect, like if you plan to grow your own vegetables or grow things, how the sun's beaming down on the house, or where your house is located could play a part in that as well. The amount of sunlight and whatnot that your plants get and stuff.
Yeah, that's true. You're up on the next one. I didn't know you were going to be giving commentary on each of mine, so you get to keep talking.
All right. So another thing is how the water drains off the property. I'll let you elaborate on that one more so, but I think how it drains affects whether you'll flood or not, or if you have yard or grass, stop the water from setting in the grass, which is a whole nother problem for breeding mosquitoes and whatnot, and just having stagnated water. So that's something you want to pay attention, not just your house, but how the water drains from the property next to you. Nowadays, there's more situations in the new subdivisions where the houses are closer together. So it's not like you have a significant amount of space between houses like you had before. So the draining of the how the water runs off basically is very important, coming off of your house and other houses. How it drains in the front, drains in the back, and whatnot. That way you don't have issues with sitting water. Like I said, it causes even more mosquitoes and all kinds of bugs. Also, it can be detrimental to your grass in your yard.
You wanted me to elaborate, but you said everything.
Well, you said no.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. I was like, well, you just kept talking. But to specifically for that example, I actually learned that from the home that I grew up in with my parents. So what happened in their home was we had a basement. We'll have a basement. They still live there. So there's a basement in my family home, and what happened over time is they were kind of mid-heel. So as the water ran down the hill, there was a piece of the concrete. Now my parents' home was built back in the 60s, so a long time ago. So there's a piece of concrete on the curb actually where the initial design process was that the water would stop at the top of the hill at the neighbor's house and roll all the way down past my parents' home, our neighbor next to us home, and then roll into the storm drain that was at the bottom of the hill. Well, because of the speed as well as the way that the curb is set, I guess like a little bit of the concrete started wearing down and it's lower. It actually kind of pushes up into the grass at my parents' home and floods their carport. That's something that they didn't know until after the home was purchased, and they bought it. They didn't buy the home brand new, excuse me. So it had actually, funny enough, runs past my neighbors that are next to my parents' home, it runs past their house the way that it was planned, but it doesn't do that for their home, and it ends up flooding a lot of times. The basement ends up flooding in the, I was about to say in the winter, but that's not what I want to say. It, it floods often when it rains, and they also learned that they built something incorrectly where there was either a drain or something that was below ground and it should not have been, and that also impacted the flooding of their home. But that's something they didn't learn until they were well into it for a while. So those are things to just think about, checking on the property, especially if you have the chance to check, you're getting a home built, you have time over some months to come back during different situations. And that's the one thing that we did. Obviously, when things are brand new, everything is optimal. So you just have to keep watching things over time. But that was one of the things that we checked on, because I experienced that at my parents' home, which is paying attention to what happens to the water when it runs. Just to give you a little backstory.
Well, unfortunately, I don't have any stories about water running because I'm from New Orleans and everywhere floods in New Orleans. So.
And you don't have basements either.
No.
So next up is going to be, if you are, a lot of times I know in Georgia, a lot of communities have HOAs. I'm not sure if that's the same thing in other parts of the states or in other countries, if you're watching in other countries. But pretty much it's a homeowners association. It also can be known as a POA, which is a property owners association. So a lot of homes have that now, especially newer communities. And if you can get a copy of the bylaws prior to you signing your contract, that is helpful too. That's something that I actually asked about, but I honestly did not have time to read it. After we read through all of the documents and the warranties and all this other stuff, that just did not make it on the list. But if you can, and they're willing to give you a copy of the HOA bylaws, definitely get those prior to you signing permanently on the dotted line for your home. The reasoning I wanted to get the HOA bylaws was just so I can understand what the expectations are. Yeah. Some property homeowner associations or POAs are very strict. You may not be able to paint your door or whatever the situation is, and you just really want to make sure you know what you're getting yourself into. Yeah. There are benefits to an HOA, absolutely, because it helps maintain your property value. It keeps that level of standard the same for everyone. So this is in no way a bash to that, but it's just to make sure you just know as much as you possibly can about kind of what your living situation will be when you get into that new to you home, I would say.
Also, HOA bylaws and learning the laws or whatever comes along with the community you're in should be just as important as looking at the house itself, because once you purchase that home and move in that community, whether you read it or not or whether you researched it or not, you're going to be bound and held accountable to the rules of the community. And what we've noticed, as you stated, being first-time homeowners, we've noticed that a lot of people move in and didn't read or pay attention to HOA because they simply may have fell in love with the design of the home or the community. And when they got here or are moving here, they're having trouble adjusting to the rules, or they're complaining and talking saying things such as, why is this like this or why is this like that? And it's like, well, this is in the HOA rules. Those are things you should have or should consider before you move in. Buying a home is one of the largest investments that you'll have. And it's not like renting to whereas, if you don't like the property, you can just break the lease. Purchasing a home, you have to go through a whole process if you're able to even sell your home at the time or whatnot. So, it's very important that you pay attention to those things. Find out as much about it as you can, because like I said, once you move in that community, you'll be bound by it,
And something else that I just thought about, especially for people who may not be moving into a new community like we did, but you may move into an established community that has a POA or HOA. Something else to think about is the same way that you would look at a location, research the school system for the property you are trying to buy. Also, you want to look into the way that POA or that HOA operates. If there's a lot of dysfunction and things like that, you want to pick up on that because that impacts you living in your home pretty much. So if there's a lot of dysfunction or mismanagement or if it's a well functioning HOA, those are just things to know, and it makes it helpful for you to make a fully informed decision. To piggyback off of what you said,
I'll also say this, as it relates to HOA, it's an organization. It's made up of homeowners, of course, because it's a homeowners association. But as a resident and as a part of that, you should make sure that you are at least present when there are HOA meetings. You should be involved as much as possible because all of the decisions affect you. So you should have a part in voicing your opinion because you have that right by paying into that association. And, of course, it's not cheap, so, definitely be proactive with it. Don't take the notion that I'm only responsible for me and my property, because that's not the case. You're responsible for everything, and anything that happens in that community will affect you overall in the form of your property value or whatnot. So make sure you are very proactive in that.
and this is likely going to be a long video, so I think I might break this into 2 parts. We are at 16, almost 17 minutes, and we are only on number 4. I did not expect for it to be this long. Okay, so, yeah, you're up next. So, can you read my handwriting?
All right, what does the area look like?
Are you reading it to yourself or the people?
Yes, I'm trying to make sure.
You can't read it out loud, then.
So we want this video or our videos of podcasts and whatnot to be realistic and, give you an idea of us too. So, we'll have these moments. So it is true. One thing you want to find out when purchasing, what does that area look like in the evenings? Typically people are at work during the day, so you don't get a true visual or idea of what that particular area looks like. The reason we say check in the evening is because more people are home. You get a true idea of what goes on in that community. If it's a lot of traffic, if it's a lot of extracurricular activities going on, you get to see what the kids are like in that area. Just so many variables. Those things are important to know when you're making a purchase. Because keep in mind, purchasing a home is a marriage. You're married to that home for 25, 30 years or even your lifetime. So, you have to make sure not only that the house is nice, but that the area is nice, because it's going to impact how you live for however many years you're particularly going to be in that home. Also, even if it's a short-term thing for you where you plan on staying there 5-10 years, the area could affect the resale value of your home too. So those are things you definitely want to pay attention to for investment purposes as well as safety purposes.
Yes, so definitely, especially even just evenings, but also think about weekends, yes, holidays, all of those factors. Like I mentioned, we moved into a new community, so we were lucky enough to be able to pretty much purchase our land when there was nothing on it. Yeah. And then we had months to keep coming back and just keep checking on it. And I understand that in other scenarios where a house already exists, you may not have that chance. But definitely, you kind of know already where you want to live and you're interested in. But whatever opportunity you have to check out those different situations, definitely try to do that.
And also, being in the new communities is a little different. So it's a little iffy trying to check things out early. Being that everything's not built, because the community is not what it's going to become, because it's still in infancy stages. But if you're in an already made community, you definitely want to do that, because you can really get a good gauge on what's going on there. However, the advantages that we had being in such a young community being built is what I was stating before, being active in the community, because you can set the tone and set the stage for what your area or your neighborhood is going to be by being proactive in it. And I know I keep going back to being proactive, but you know.
And so the last one, and then we'll cut this short, and then not cut it short, but cut it off here, and then start another for, I was about to say podcast, but part 2 is going to be checking out, or what I really want to say is factoring in the design features of the home. And what I mean by that is just really paying attention to whether that's the wall color, the floor color, baseboards, things like that. All of that matters when you have to maintain that home every day. And he's laughing, but it really does matter. So, for example, we picked dark flooring. Well, actually, we didn't pick it. They picked it for us. But we were okay with that because that's what we would have picked anyway. And thinking about that now, it shows every bit of grass, dirt, lint, dust. You always have to stay on top of sweeping the floor constantly because it just shows every little bitty thing. And it's more so an issue in the summer because you're going through the grass to water it. He mentioned we also have a small little garden in the backyard. So, you know, we're pulling in grass all the time and other dirt or whatever, and just having to constantly sweep it, like I mentioned, it matters because it factors into kind of how often you're going to have to clean. That also means like the railings, like if your stair rails are a light color, over time that's going to get dirty and you're going to have to wipe that down frequently. We don't have kids and we still are like cleaning up often just from little small things like that do matter. So definitely think about the maintenance of things as you move forward with your home journey because it does make a difference.
Yeah, and also, you know, the funny thing, when we were first looking, we we wanted a bigger home. We wanted something 30,000, 3,500 square feet.
Did you say 30,000?
No, I said 3,000.
I didn't. Oh, he wanted 3,000. I didn't want 3,000.
No, the one house that we liked was 3,700 square feet. And I'm only saying this to make a point. You know, don't purchase more than you can keep up. You know, we a lot of times we have the idea that we want this big elaborate home or we want the most space, but it's cool until you have to clean it. You know, like India stated about baseboards, dusting and whatnot. Those things have to be maintained. So, you know, one of the biggest things she fusses at me about because she's always doing the baseboards and stuff. You know, you have to clean stairs. You have to clean baseboards on stairs. You have to clean chandeliers. And, you know, the baseboards can require you getting down on your hands and knees and having to do it, or climbing and getting on ladders to dust certain things. And while it doesn't sound like much, it can be quite tedious, especially the more house you have. So please make sure that's one thing you look at. Don't buy more house than you can handle. You know, being in the house we're in now, it's like, good God, do we even want something bigger if we try to buy again, or do you want to try to get something smaller? So, you know, those are the things you have to think about. Now, if you can afford a maid service, by all means, do what you can do.
Get a maid service. If you can budget that in there, budget a maid service.
Which is something we're definitely looking into doing. But, you know, that's not the...
that's not realistic for everybody.
Yes. So, you know, think about those things. Think about the upkeep. Think about the reality of that. And do you have the time to do it or the resources to do it when you're looking into purchasing your home? Remember, you're not trying to impress anybody. You just want to make sure you're happy. So be realistic about your. No, I'm serious. You know, a lot of times we do things to impress other people, and we put ourselves in precarious situations. But, you know, just make sure that's something you factor in and think about when you're purchasing.
Thank you for your support.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you for watching. Forgot to record an outro. Watch out for part 2. Like, share, subscribe.